We're about to fly the world's best-selling airliner. Welcome to the flight deck of the Boeing 737. It's squat and fat with twin engines mounted on the wings. It's been nicknamed everything from the baby Boeing to Fat Albert. But the Boeing 737 can fairly claim to be the world's most successful airliner. Well over 3,000 have been sold. At any given moment, there are at least 700 in the air. We're about to join that airborne armada on the flight deck of a Boeing 737-400 of Air UK Leisure, flying holidaymakers from London Gatwick Airport to Malaga, Spain. Both the aircraft and the crew are refuelling.
Oh, brilliant. I don't mind. I'll drink anything this time of day. Sorry, Nick.
On the flight deck today for this 6 a.m. takeoff are Captain Dave Henry and co-pilot Mike Witt.
For this flight, going down to Malaga, I'm nominated as the pilot flying, Mike is the pilot not flying, and that immediately designates what we do. Very briefly then, Mike has been round the outside of the aeroplane and checked it, and I've done my part of the work in the flight deck itself. The longest job of the lot is putting all the information we need into our computer, the flight management computer. And just to give a resume of that, what we've done is we've actually put the route in, we've put the forecast winds in, and we're looking at a flight of about 951 miles down to Malaga this morning. First thing I'd like to run through is the takeoff then. It's my takeoff. Absolutely standard procedures, left-hand seat. Anything you see you don't like, tell me, and at 80 knots we'll stop the takeoff.
With all the passengers now aboard, the walkway is moved back and the ground tug is ready to push the aircraft away from the departure gate.
Okay, so we're clear, push and start, please, standing by on the brakes.
As the pushback continues, the right-hand engine, number 2, is started.
We'd like to start number 2, please. Okay, we're cleared number 2. So, if you're ready, starting number 2. Okay, put the starter on, getting the air from the APU, and we can see here that the main core of the engine is starting to wind up. It reaches about 25%. We'll actually switch the fuel on. 23% now. 24, 25, in goes the fuel. EGT is rising and we've got fuel flow and the main fan is beginning to turn. %. The starter's finished with. Thank you.
Going to brake six apart, please.
Brakes apart. And if you monitor the right hand for me. Start left, please.
Please start one.
Okay, and we do the same again for the left engine. Starter on.
2 stable.
Thank you. Main core is beginning to rotate. The fan also just beginning to tick over. 23%, 24%, 25%, on with the fuel. Immediate light up, temperature rising, fuel flow indicated. We'll just monitor it. %, we'd expect the starter to switch off, which it has. Thank you.
With both engines now running, the 737 parts company with the tug to taxi to the runway. The 400 series is one of a number of developments of the original 737 design, first developed in 1964. It was Boeing's belated response to the challenge posed by the new rear-engine BAC-111 and Douglas DC-9 airliners. The 737's configuration of two wing-mounted engines wasn't by any means new. The same layout had been tested on an experimental version of the British Vickers Viscount airliner in 1949, 18 years before the first 737 flew. Getting airborne much later than its competitors, the 737 was found to be 30 knots slower than Boeing had predicted, and tests showed the rear wing spar needed strengthening. The 6 abreast seating was a bonus of using 707 fuselage sections. An improved version, the 200 series, was launched, but sales was still a problem. By the early 70s, Boeing was almost ready to shut down production of the 737 for good.
Along about 1972, I believe we only sold something like 8 airplanes in 1972. And there was serious discussion about discontinuing the line at that time, stopping with the airplanes that we had sold, and when that finished, then just discontinue. It's a good thing that we persevered.
It was the adoption of the quiet and fuel-efficient CFM56 engine with the 300 series which changed the fortunes of the 737. It saved money for the airlines, and for everyone it was much easier on the ear than the older models. The 737 family began to grow again. In 1988 came the larger, quieter 400 series. From that low point in the 70s, sales took off. The 737 family had a whole new lease of life. The 737 is built for a lifetime of short flights, thousands of landings and takeoffs, what the airlines call flight cycles. The skin of the fuselage has to hold in normal air pressure to keep passengers comfortable, even flying at an altitude of 35,000 feet. But engineers always have to be on their guard for cracks and corrosion on older aircraft. This Aloha Airlines 737 was flying at 24,000 feet when the skin failed and the pressure inside the cabin bursted open like a can of sardines. Despite the missing roof, the pilot managed to land the plane. Although a stewardess died, all 95 passengers survived. It was found the aircraft had carried out more than 90,000 flight cycles in the salty, humid air of the Hawaiian Islands. The airline had failed to carry out repairs which Boeing had recommended before the incident.
It's absolutely remarkable and a tribute to the 737 that the airplane still had enough strength to fly and land safely, having lost only one person in this dreadful incident. But ever since that lesson which mankind learnt about metal fatigue and fuselages and high cycle airplanes, the whole system of regulations for airlines which own and operate high cycle airplanes has been radically studied from ground up with the intention that never again could such a thing happen.